during the tribulation period that is to come at the end of the age. Give me your attention for just a moment. The explosion of anti-Semitism that you see on college campuses around the world right now, not just in the United States, but all around the world, and the explosion of anti-Semitism that you see going on in the world, and the denouncement of Israel for defending herself against the brutal terrorist attack of Hamas, and the hatred of Israel that you see in the world right now, and the call to annihilate Israel, the whole, from the river to the sea, calling for the annihilation of Israel. It's just a foreshadowing of what's to come during the tribulation for the Jewish people and the nation of Israel. The world hates God, and so the world hates God's people. Israel is the apple of God's eye. And during the second half of the tribulation, the Bible tells us that the whole world will persecute the Jewish people. The whole world will turn against them. In fact, if you're taking notes, you can jot down Revelation chapter 12, verse 13. There it tells us in Revelation 12:13, this is the second half of the tribulation. Now when the dragon, that's Satan, saw that he had been cast to the earth, he persecuted the woman who gave birth to the male child. Speaking of Jesus, the woman who gave birth to the male child is Israel. Jesus, it was a Jew. He came from Israel. He's the Jewish Messiah. And the dragon, Satan, will unleash persecution against the Jewish people and against Israel, because they brought forth the Messiah. They brought forth the Savior of the world. Anti-Semitism and persecution of the Jews is demonic in its origin. And during the tribulation, this demonic persecution of the Jews and anti-Semitism will be unleashed in the world. The Battle of Armageddon, which I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have heard of. The Battle of Armageddon will be the final battle in all of human history, and that battle will be an attempt by the armies of the world under the leadership of the Antichrist. It will be an attempt to annihilate the Jewish people from the earth once and for all. That's what that war is about. When all the armies of the world are going to march on Israel and come against Israel and come against Jerusalem in an attempt to destroy them. And Matthew chapter 25, Jesus tells us the nations of the earth will be judged based on whether they help the Jewish people or refuse to help the Jewish people during the tribulation period. Nations will be judged for whether they helped the Jews and provided for their needs or they didn't. That's where things are heading. That's where things are going. And it's not hard to envision the world turning against the Jewish people, is it? It's not hard to envision the world turning against Israel in the last days, is it? Because we're watching it. We're watching it happen. And this is all prophetic. This is where everything is going to go during the tribulation period. During the tribulation, please hear me, during the tribulation that is to come, the Jews will be the dividing line. The Jews will be the dividing line between believers and non-believers. True believers recognize the Jews are God's chosen people, that they're the apple of God's eye, and they will help them during the tribulation. Non-believers will be anti-Semitic and oppose the Jews and oppose the nation of Israel. And sadly, we're getting a foreshadow of that right now in the world. Israel is already becoming the dividing line, isn't it? It's becoming the dividing line in churches. It's becoming the dividing line in countries, where you either stand with them or you don't. You're either for them or you're against them. You know, you either see them as the victim of terrorism or the terrorists. They are becoming the dividing line, and they will become the dividing line among believers and non-believers.